You sent the last text, you made the last plan, you carried the conversation, and now, silence. For days, maybe weeks, you have been staring at your phone, wondering what you did wrong. You replay the last conversation in your head. Did I say too much? Was I too needy? Did they find someone better? Society has a name for this. They call it ghosting. They call it losing interest. They say that when someone stops reaching out, it means they don't care. But psychology tells a very different and much more painful story. Most people who stop reaching out didn't suddenly stop caring. They didn't stop loving you. They stopped because they are exhausted. They stopped because they realized they were the only engine powering the relationship. This isn't an act of cruelty. It is an act of survival. If you are the one who went silent, this video is your vindication. If you are the one who was left behind, this video is your explanation. Today we are going to explore the psychology of the dignity pivot, why good people suddenly go quiet, the biological cost of one-sided relationships, and most importantly, how to heal from the guilt of finally choosing yourself. The first concept we need to understand is what psychologists call emotional bankruptcy. Relationships, whether romantic or platonic, operate on an unspoken economy. There is an exchange of energy. You deposit attention, you withdraw support. You deposit time, you withdraw connection. In a healthy dynamic, this ledger is balanced. But for you, the overgiver, the books have been in the red for a long time. You probably didn't notice it at first. You told yourself, I'm just more organized, or they are just busy, or I don't mind driving. You made excuses for their lack of investment because you valued the connection more than your own pride. But the human brain has a limit. There is a specific region in your brain called the anterior cingulate cortex. It monitors social equity. It tracks fairness. So when you consistently give more than you receive, this part of your brain lights up like a warning beacon. It registers the imbalance as pain, literal, physical pain. So when you finally stop reaching out, it's not a strategic game. It's not playing hard to get. It is your brain declaring bankruptcy. You have simply run out of emotional currency to pay for a connection that the other person is renting for free. This leads us to the second reason, which is often misunderstood: the nervous system freeze. When you decide to stop reaching out, you might feel a strange mix of relief and anxiety. You might wonder, am I being cold? Am I being selfish? No. You are entering a state of self-preservation. According to Polyvagal Theory, when a human being feels consistently undervalued or unsafe in a relationship, their nervous system eventually shifts from a social engagement state to a dorsal vagal shutdown. Think of it like a breaker tripping in your house to prevent a fire. For months, you were in fight or flight, anxiously checking your phone, overanalyzing texts, trying to fix the distance. That requires huge amounts of cortisol and adrenaline. Your body cannot sustain that forever. So the silence you are maintaining right now, honest, that is your body pulling the plug. It is a biological low-power mode. You aren't ignoring them to hurt them. You are ignoring them because you need to conserve the energy required to keep your own heart beating. From the outside, it looks like arrogance. From the inside, it feels like you are finally gasping for air. Now let's look at the other side. Why didn't they meet you halfway? Why did they let you do all the work? It is easy to label them as narcissists or toxic, and sometimes that's true. But often the truth is more nuanced. Many people who accept your overgiving suffer from a form of relational passivity. They never learn the language of reciprocity. Because you were always there, always fixing, always planning, always checking in, they never had to develop the muscle of initiation. You became their external regulator. You carried the mental load of the friendship or relationship. When you stop reaching out, they don't just feel your absence, they feel confused. They literally don't know how to bridge the gap because you never let the bridge collapse before. This is the tragedy of the overfunctioner. By doing everything for them, you accidentally train them to do nothing for you. Your silence is the first time they are being forced to face the reality of their own passivity. This brings us to the core reason you stopped. The dignity pivot. There comes a moment in every one-sided dynamic where the pain of holding on exceeds the fear of letting go. You realize that begging for connection is humiliating. You realize that explaining your worth to someone is the quickest way to lose it. Psychologically, this is a massive shift in self-concept. You stop identifying as the helper or the chaser, and you start identifying as the chooser. You realize, I am not a backup plan. I am not a convenience. I am an event. Stopping communication is your way of setting a boundary without saying a word. Because you have probably used words before. You told them you were hurt. You told them you needed more. They heard you, but they didn't change. So now your silence is the message. And it is the loudest message you have ever sent. So you've stopped reaching out. The silence is deafening. What now? How do you handle the guilt? How do you ensure you don't slide back into the same pattern? Here is a 3-step psychological protocol to navigate this phase. Step 1, the observation phase, not manipulation. First, you must be honest about your intent. Are you going silent to punish them and make them chase you? Or are you going silent to heal yourself? If you are doing it to make them chase you, that is manipulation. That is a game. And games never lead to intimacy. You must shift your mindset. Tell yourself, I am stepping back to see if there is any structure to this relationship without my effort. You are testing the bridge. If the bridge collapses when you stop holding it up, it wasn't a bridge. It was a plank, and you were the only one holding it. Let it collapse. We're on step 2, the reciprocity audit. Take a piece of paper, draw 2 columns. I initiate and they initiate. Look at your last 10 interactions. Who started them? Who asked questions? If the ratio is 80-20 or 90-10, you have your data. Data is not emotional. Data does not lie. When you feel guilty, when that voice in your head says, maybe I'm being too harsh, look at the data. The data gives you permission to rest. Step 3, train your nervous system to tolerate space. This is the hardest part. You are addicted to fixing. Silence feels dangerous to you because in your childhood, silence might have meant rejection. You need to retrain your brain. When the urge to text them arises, recognize it as a dopamine craving. You are seeking the dopamine hit of a reply to validate your existence. Instead, do what psychologists call urge surfing. Acknowledge the urge. I feel like texting them. Then do nothing. Wait 10 minutes. Distract your hands. The urge will pass. Every time you don't send that double text, you are rewiring your brain. You are teaching yourself that you are safe even without their attention. Step 4, recalibrate your normal. Finally, you must raise your price of admission. In economics, if a product is free, people treat it like it's cheap. If your time and energy are always available, they have no value. You need to become expensive again, not financially, but energetically. Invest that energy into people who invest in you. Look around. There are probably people in your life who do text you back, who do ask how you are, but you've been ignoring them because you were too busy chasing the person who ignores you. Or pivot your attention to the reciprocators. That is how you heal. If you are currently in the silence, I want you to know this. You are not erasing yourself. You are outlining yourself. You are drawing a line in the sand that says, this is where my self-respect begins. The right people will respect that line. The wrong people will fade away. And that is okay. Let them fade. You are making room for the people who don't need to be reminded that you exist. Your silence is not a weapon. It is a shield. Carry it with honor. If this video validated your experience, leave a muscle emoji in the comments to show that you are choosing strength today. And subscribe if you are ready to build a life based on self-worth, not self-sacrifice.